Awilda was a fair leader who cared not for titles. Stories say that she spent equal time in Aventry Manor as she did in town with her people. Under her reign, Lucent knew prosperity and upheld its title as Bastion of Light like never before. By her side was Duke Aventry, a proud noble and fierce defender of his land and people. Ever stalwart, it is said that the flames of his dedication to Lucent burned only cooler than that of his fiery love for Awilda. Despite the looming threat of the Clockwork Castle, they managed to keep their people safe, happy, and hopeful. One night, during a long journey abroad, like so many others, Duke Aventry was awoken by an emissary carrying urgent orders. Awilda demanded that he return to Lucent at once, offering no explanation beyond hinting at some dire threat. When the Duke arrived, he was greeted by a raging firestorm. A sizable portion of the land was burning, but there were no enemy forces in sight. A Sun Solstice warrior had turned evil. Hiding somewhere on the island, he would come out once a day to deplete his powers, slowly burning away at the landscape. Thanks to the trail of conflagration, he was easily tracked. Their fight persisted for days on end, but for all his might, Duke Aventry was unable to defeat the evil Solstice warrior. Seeing their collateral damage caused by their battle, he accepted that they were at a stalemate and retreated, in order to avoid further destruction of his already bleeding land. Struck by despair in the face of his inability to protect his people, Duke Aventry let his guard down, and in walked the enemy. Fleshmancer Acolyte 2 approached in disguise and offered him a magic shard. This ancient shard was made by the Oveds themselves, she lied, fully aware of Duke Aventry's weakened state of mind. It would shroud your island in complete darkness for one day, blocking all light from the sun and moon. My enemy's powers would, he mused, but playing to Duke Aventry's sense of honour, 2 gave him the final nudge. The Solstice warrior hasn't been playing by the rules either. Surely you wish to protect your people? She asked. Duke Aventry accepted the shard and thanked her for her help. Simply smash the shard with conviction and its magic will awaken, 2 explained on her way out. He wasted no time in smashing the shard, and by voluntarily activating the curse on his island, played right into the Acolyte's hands. Everything went fine at first. The night shroud covered the land, and Duke Aventry made short work of the weakened Solstice warrior. As celebrations began, they put out a call for wind mages to gather waves strong enough to flood the eastern part of the island. The flames were extinguished at last, but in doing so, those areas were transformed into the famous swamps we know today. It was a change welcomed by all, for it came hand in hand with their victory. It took a few weeks until it became clear to all that the Night Shard would never recede. Despite overwhelming support from his people, Duke Aventry could not forgive himself for his mistake. Finally realizing who had rarely given him the magic shard, he departed for the Clockwork Castle. On that day, Duke Aventry played into the Acolyte's hand for the second time. While he was away, Fleshmancer Acolyte 3 infiltrated Aventry Manor and killed Awilda. Thus was the ritual completed, and a seed of evil was planted in the mansion which, a few centuries later, would grow into the Dweller of Woe. Completely defeated, over the following days Duke Aventry died of sadness and despair. As if fate hadn't been cruel enough, over 200 years later, Ramoya found his urn and raised him from the dead to be her bodyguard. For decades the Duke roamed the swamps he once ruled over, his memory completely gone, feeling nothing save for an unexplainable sadness. In bouts of clarity, he would feel a brief but very deep yearning for something he just couldn't put his finger on. Such was the Duke's lot for half a century until, one day, young Solstice warriors reclaimed Awilda's locket and brought it to him. His memory now restored, Duke Aventry smashed the locket, and in doing so broke the tether binding his soul to the material plane. At long last, he found peace and was free to leave this world. The end.